They told you that if you just think positively, if you fill your mind with happy thoughts and bright visions of the future, success will naturally follow. But let me ask you this, if positive thinking alone was enough, wouldn't everyone who ever read a self-help book already be rich, successful, and living their dream life? The truth is, positive thinking doesn't make you successful. In fact, in many cases, it holds you back more than you realize. And today, I'm going to show you why. Stay with me until the end, because I'm not just going to break down the problem, I'm going to give you the strategies you can actually use to replace empty positivity with real progress. The first big problem with positive thinking is that it tricks your brain into believing you're already closer to success than you really are. Imagine sitting on your couch, picturing yourself giving a speech to thousands of people, or signing a huge business deal. In that moment, your brain releases the same chemicals it would if you had actually achieved it. You feel accomplished. You feel proud. But here's the catch, that little rush of satisfaction makes you less likely to take real action. It's like eating a candy bar right before dinner, you feel full, but you haven't gotten any nutrition. Positive thinking feeds you the illusion of progress while starving you of the hunger to do the hard work. There's a fascinating study on this. Researchers found that students who spent time imagining themselves doing well on an exam, or landing their dream job, actually performed worse than students who didn't. Why? Because the visualization gave them the sense of accomplishment without the effort. Their motivation dropped, and so did their results. The very tool they thought would help them, positive thinking, became the trap that held them back. And this leads us straight into the second danger. When you rely too much on positivity, you ignore the real problems standing in your way. Have you ever met someone who insists everything is fine even when it clearly isn't? That's toxic positivity. It's the refusal to face reality because it doesn't fit the perfect picture in their head. They'll say things like, "Don't think about failure, just focus on success," as if ignoring the obstacles will somehow make them disappear. But that's not how life works. Pretending the storm doesn't exist won't keep you dry. You need to prepare, plan, and adapt, not hide behind a smile. In fact, ignoring the negative often makes it worse. Let's say you want to start a business. You tell yourself, "It's going to be amazing, nothing will go wrong, I can already see myself succeeding." That feels good in the moment. But then, when the first challenge hits, maybe a supplier fails you, or customers don't show up, you're shocked, discouraged, and unprepared. Many people quit right there, because the reality didn't match the fantasy. Their optimism wasn't a strength. It was a weakness. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying you should be a pessimist. I'm saying that blind positivity is just as dangerous as constant negativity. Real success comes from seeing the world as it is, not as you wish it to be. Think of it like driving. If you convince yourself there's no traffic, no red lights, and no other cars, you'll crash the moment you hit reality. But if you know there will be obstacles, you can navigate them safely and still get where you want to go. The third danger of positive thinking is that it can silence your real emotions. We're told to just stay positive when things go wrong, to bury the fear, the frustration, the anger. But those emotions exist for a reason. Fear warns you of danger. Anger pushes you to fight for change. Frustration tells you that something needs to be fixed. When you ignore them, you lose valuable information that could guide you toward better decisions. In fact, some of the most successful people in history didn't succeed because they were positive, they succeeded because they were honest about the problems they faced, and used their emotions as fuel to solve them. So if positive thinking isn't the key, what is? Let me give you the blueprint. First, replace positive fantasies with realistic planning. Don't just picture yourself on the winner's stage, picture the training, the failures, the setbacks, and how you'll respond. This is called mental contrasting. Research shows it dramatically increases the chances of success, because you're not just seeing the goal, you're also preparing for the roadblocks. You're programming your mind to act, not just to dream. Second, practice what's called negative visualization. It sounds counterintuitive, but it works. Instead of imagining everything going perfectly, imagine what could go wrong, and then build a plan to handle it. If you're preparing for a big presentation, don't just see the audience clapping. Ask yourself, what if the slides fail? What if someone challenges me with a tough question? How will I handle it? By doing this, you remove fear, because you've already rehearsed the worst-case scenario. It's no longer a terrifying unknown, it's just another situation you're ready for. Third, set small, concrete goals instead of vague affirmations. Saying, "I will be successful," does nothing. But saying, "I will write 500 words today," or, "I will make 3 sales calls before lunch," creates real progress. Success isn't a leap. It's a staircase. And every step matters. Fourth, allow yourself to feel the so-called negative emotions. If you're anxious, use it as a signal that preparation is needed. If you're frustrated, let it push you to find a better solution. If you're angry, channel it into productive action. Don't suppress these feelings under a fake smile, harness them as energy for change. Finally, stop telling yourself, "I believe it will work," and start asking, "What's the next action I can take right now?" Belief is not the fuel, action is. You can believe in success all you want, but until you move, nothing changes. Think about it. The world is full of people who believed they'd be millionaires, believed they'd be famous, believed they'd finally get fit, but never made the moves. And then they wonder why nothing happened. Belief is the spark. Action is the fire. Without the fire, the spark burns out in the dark. Here's the uncomfortable truth most motivational speakers won't tell you: positive thinking feels good because it's easy. It costs nothing. You don't have to risk failure. You don't have to confront your fears. You just sit there and imagine. But while you're doing that, someone else is out there taking messy, imperfect, uncomfortable action. And they're the ones who end up winning. So, the next time you catch yourself repeating, "Everything will work out," stop. Ask instead, "What will I do to make it work out?" The difference is subtle, but it's everything. Because one keeps you stuck in fantasy, and the other pulls you into reality. In the end, positivity isn't the enemy. Blind positivity is. Use optimism as a tool, not a drug. Stay hopeful, but stay honest. Dream big, but plan bigger. Smile at the future, but prepare for the fight. And most importantly, remember this: success doesn't come to those who simply believe. It comes to those who act, who adapt, and who refuse to let comfort replace courage. So, don't just think positive. Think real. Think bold. And then, go do something about it.